Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So I'm on my way up to the restaurant. I've had to buy a load of stock today. As you can see in the back, there's a 25-litre oil which I have to put the seatbelt round in case it sort of surges forward, because it weighs about half a tonne. I had to buy some other bits and bobs, waters and stuff like that, because obviously at the moment where it's so hot, it's still unbelievably hot for the end of September, to be honest with you. We're still hitting 33s, 34 degrees. It's just horrible. I just can't wait to get into October when it starts to drop down. Well, I hope it starts to drop down anyway. So Dad's still out. He's been helping us do the house. There's been all sorts of stuff going on at the house. It's been repainted outside. All the garage has been dragged out, and the wall's been treated from some previous flooding problems that before we had the property, which has all been rectified now. We've got a sort of an inverter pump in there, so if the electric gets tripped out, it will still pump all the water out for 36 hours and all this sort of stuff. So it'll never happen again, but it's just getting on top of it and repairing the damage that happened when it last flooded. But anyway, that was some time ago. So we're getting back to a little bit of normality now. I've been a little bit quiet on the videos for the last few days. I've re-put up that one where I flew the drone into the cave slightly, because last time I put it up it was a bit of a mess because I didn't edit out the music at the end when I was talking. Hopefully that's now been sorted out. We went up to Mahaka the other day. If you've not seen that, the video's posted a couple of days ago, and amazing evening. It's all sort of, the whole place is lit up with candles, which is tremendous. It was amazing to see, and we definitely try and go there again next year. Had a lovely meal there. It was beautiful. Going on to the subject of today's topic, I was a few months ago, or a couple of months, 3 months ago was it, undecided. I've got a tenant in one of the properties in the UK, and I was undecided whether they gave notice. She gave me nearly 3 months actually. She's been a tremendous tenant, really has. And she gave notice that she's leaving, she's moving on. I think she's moving in with her mum actually, because things are probably a little bit tight, to be fair. So she's given notice and she's leaving. I've then decided I didn't know whether to put up the property to re-let it again at quite a bit higher rent, the way the market is at the moment, or whether to sell it. Now, I said some time ago that if Labour got into government, I would be pulling out eventually from any businesses with the UK. I've got not an awful lot of faith in the government. To be fair, it's not just Labour, it's the previous government as well. They're the ones that completely started the attack on private landlords. I know private landlords got a bit of a bad name, but it's not, trust me, when I look into it, you look at the overheads and the cost increases and the increase in taxes and everything that the government's, not just this one, the previous one, has put on the landlord. I can understand why people don't want to be in that type of industry anymore, and I'm one of them now. I did see a survey the other day. I think it was 74% of private landlords are thinking of coming out of the industry in the next 5 years. I think it was 5 years. So that's going to make a huge impact on housing in the UK. Now, housing in the UK is needed more now than ever. As you know, we are getting many guests come from other countries at the moment, and everyone's got to live somewhere, and that's putting a huge demand on the rental sector. Now, I can't work it out, and for me there must be some other motive that I'm missing. But if you've got a massive demand and a massive problem where you can't house people, why attack the landlord that's housing them? Why not give them some incentives? I mean, if I had incentives to invest more in the UK, I would probably invest more and buy more property. That way, I buy more property and everything works, doesn't it? There's more property to rent rather than it being in a privately owned dwelling. There's more property to rent, which reduces the stress and the grief that the government have given themselves by letting more people into the country. I can't work it out. So anyway, I've decided over the medium term, shall we call it, I'm not going to kick anybody out of any of the properties I'm in. I'm not going to give them notice to leave, but when they do hand their notice in naturally to move, I will be selling all of the properties that I own in the UK. I don't want to be involved in the UK anymore. I don't like what I'm seeing. and this is why I've decided to 100% sell the property. The property is now on Rightmove. Hopefully that will be selling in the next month or two, or getting some interest. We'll see, because I don't really know how the house sale sector is at the moment. I know that the property market for the rentals is very, very strong. Not sure about the sale side of things. So I'm now I've decided I'm coming out of it. So over the course of the next few years, hopefully I won't have any property whatsoever. But the problem now is, what do you do with the money that you sell the properties for? Because you can't just put it in the bank. A, you're not protected of anything over £85,000. B, you know, if you just keep it in the bank at a minimal interest rate, which you pay tax on anyway, your money just dwindles with inflation, because the inflation is generally a lot higher than the interest. So what do you do with the money? So I've now got to start planning, when this property sells, what I'm going to do with after I pay the ridiculously increased capital gains tax. I mean, that's increased for me probably around 12 to 14,000 increase since Labour's come in. So I've got to pay the capital gains tax on it. There may be additional taxes that I have to pay in Spain that will have to be declared at the time of the sale, whenever the sale goes through and however much the property sells for. So these are things that I'm sort of having to sort out now. So after all that's happened, I'm obviously going to be left with X amount of money which I need to invest. Now, I've said a few months ago, I recommended to people to invest in gold. I mean, this isn't me giving financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an analyst. I haven't, you know, I'm just talking from what I would do if I had some money in the account. So I would say, I said a few months ago that gold was a good, but you can go back on the videos, I can't remember when it was, but I said that gold was a good investment, and since I've said that, I believe it's gone up about 21% gold. So had you put in £1,000, you would have made £210. If you'd put it into gold sovereigns, which is what I mentioned at the time, that would be capital gains tax free. So your 21% you could sell and cash in now, and you wouldn't pay no tax on that, because it's capital gains tax free at this time. As I say, who knows in the future, they might heavily tax gold, who knows. It's just we're in very, very uncertain times, and not very nice times, I'm going to be honest with you. Inflation's out of control. Migration seems to be in Europe out of control. And like Donald Trump the other day met up with Keir Starmer and said that you need to use the military now to protect your borders. I mean, for him to say that, whether Keir Starmer will take any notice of that is a completely different matter, because I don't think he's against the problem. I think he's for it, in my personal opinion. Anyway, getting off of that, because I don't want to keep this political, of course. So the property's now up for sale. Once it sells, I've got to make this big decision now what to do next, because obviously as it stands at the moment, the property's rented out, and while it's rented out, it's earning a residual income. You know, I'm getting the income from the actual rental, and hopefully the property increases over time in value, so you get that as well. What do you do with the money? Do I invest in gold, because that's now at an all-time high? I still see it going higher, in my personal opinion. Do I invest it in crypto assets, because that's very volatile? Do you really want to risk your the money that you've made on your property after you've paid a bit of tax, so you could actually end up losing money? What do you do? I mean, this is where I am at the moment with it, and a lot of people will say, well, that's a nice problem to have. It is a nice problem to have, and I admit that, but it's still, as a business person, it's still something that I've got to consider. I thought about bringing it over to Spain and investing it in 3 or 4 different slightly smaller properties that I can keep on top of, but then I'm back in the rental market again. And do I want to be in the rental market anymore? So these are the things at the moment I'm toying with. I've thought about buying a rare car, and hopefully that will go up in value, but then there's costs associated with that while you've got the car. You have, you know, you're keeping it on the road cost, your maintenance cost, your insurance cost, your road tax cost, your any maintenance issues, you have all that sort of stuff. Whereas if you buy a little gold bar or some coins, you've got no ongoing costs, and hopefully eventually it sort of performs the inflation, and that's the only hope you can have with it. Is gold safe? I would say yes, it is. But again, gold can come down. It's very, very high at the moment. So it's a really, really difficult time to know what to invest any money that you've got put aside into. So there's my thoughts I'm going to invest it in one of three things, or all three things. I may buy a property here and rent it out long term. I don't want to do holiday lets. I may buy some gold. That could be on the stock exchange or physical gold. I personally prefer physical gold, and I do have a bank vault now out in Spain, so I can, you know, if I bought some coins, I can go and put it in the bank vault and forget about it, as long as obviously the bank vault doesn't get turned over at some stage. And the other thing is crypto, because I still believe that crypto is in the very, very early stages of where it's going to be. Bitcoin, I think at the moment, is $115,000, $116,000 a coin, which is an awful lot of money. But bear in mind, you don't have to buy a whole coin. You can buy part of a coin. You can buy 100 quid if you want. You know, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. And you can build up, so you can buy it in little bits, and eventually you end up with a whole coin if you invest that much money into it. And I do believe that crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP haven't even started yet. I see eventually, and this is long term, I see Bitcoin being $750,000, possibly even $1 million a coin. And I do believe it'll only be the extremely rich people that hold Bitcoin. So there's my thoughts. Give me your opinions in the comments below. What you would do if you had some money at the moment. Doesn't matter how much it is. If you had some spare money to invest, what you'd invest in. As it stands at the moment, I think it's going to be a little bit of property in Spain, some gold, possibly quite a bit of gold, more so than others, and some crypto. But if you've got any other ideas, I'll be interested to read it in your comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'm nearly at the restaurant now, so please like, subscribe. Make sure that you definitely hit that notification bell, and if you hit the bell, you've got different types of notifications that you can choose. So just make sure that you subscribe so you can catch up with us. I'm trying to get the channel built slightly, and anyone that shares it is a massive help to me. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.